Had a little listen to his podcast, huh?
Dude, it's educational. And besides, I've been wanting to listen to this one.
Welcome to Idling in the Impala, a podcast by and for lovers of supernatural and the fanfiction it inspires. Before we begin, just want to remind you to follow us wherever you listen so you don't miss any episodes or bonus content. If you love what we do and want an easy way to show your support, please consider leaving us a positive, that's all the stars, rating on your favourite listening platform. It helps SPN and fanfic lovers find us and share in the fun. I'm Kasey.
I'm Sandra, and we're so happy to have one of our favorite creators in the supernatural fandom back on the podcast. MJ, known as IncogNinja and ThoughtsLikeAMinefield, is a writer of Reader Insert and original female character fics that are brimming with emotion and rawness, leaving a lasting impression on many readers. She's been part of fandom for decades and has a lot of thoughts to share about the evolution of the spaces and the fans who inhabit them. Since last year, I wanted to have MJ back on to talk about her Soldier Boy / OFC fic, You Will Hollow Out My Heart and I Will Haunt Your Bed. That brought about a little mini revelation for me. Kasey and I thought this fic in particular slotted into our fact versus fiction discussions. So, big thanks for joining us and welcome back to the podcast, MJ, and happy birthday.
Welcome and happy birthday.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Yes, we've had you on twice before. And like I said, I know our last conversation was more about, I think, fanfic in general and fandom and how, you know, all of that kind of like affects the sexuality aspect of things and all of those things. But this one in particular, this fic, which you let me read in advance. I think it was because it was for was it for Jackal's Verse Bingo? Was it one of the prompts for that?
Yeah, it was. It was one of the ones that I took the bulk of the prompts for Jackal's Verse and then based, you know, each chapter off of a prompt.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of lucky enough to be like, sort of like, hey, we take a look at this, give me your thoughts and stuff. And like I said, we'll get into that fic more, but I love the discussions that I'm able to have with you, MJ. And I was thinking about this too alongside of Kasey. You are the type of writers that like pick at the scabs to see what's underneath. You know, like it's raw, it's real. Like you can write a happily ever after, like, you know, as can Kasey, but like it just, there's no fear in your writing, or at least there isn't the fear of experiencing or getting into like the nitty gritty of stuff. Like, you know, there might be fear on your end, but it doesn't show in your writing, I guess, is if that makes sense, like in terms of how both of you write. And I'm more the escapist, fully like, you know, I want to get away. And I think you guys are just like, no, I want to get into the feels. So I kind of wanted to put that out as the start because I love both of your writing styles. But I just know that I don't go there typically in my brain when I write. And I love that about fandom, how we get to experience all of those different things. Kasey was just talking about a fic, like, Sandra, you would not like this fic at all, and telling me all the details about it. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm glad you know that, you know, it's probably a great fic for you and it hits all of your buttons. But like for me, no. And there's so many avenues for readers to find like their perfect writer, maybe, like, you know, if they really are just readers, I think. So I just want to put that out there before we get started on that, because like I said, you know, I've loved your stuff for like years. So I fangirl all the time. So fangirling will continue, probably for the majority of this interview. But yeah, and I've gotten the chance to really, like, you know, we chat. I know it's been a while, but like I like that we can kind of come back and, like I said, we can just like hop into a conversation, and it's like those are the kind of friendships I like. You can hop into a conversation. It's like I haven't talked to you for months, and it's just like it doesn't matter, you know. It's like it feels genuine and it feels real, and I appreciate that about you. So I just wanted to put that out there. I do
as well. Thank you.
I learned recently. Sorry, Sandra. That is an ADHD trait.
What is?
Yep.
We don't have friendship degradation mechanics.
Oh yeah. Well, it's just it's kind of ridiculous to me that there has to be boundaries about what friendship is or like requirements. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I have a best friend. We can go a couple weeks without talking to each other, and when we get back into it, it's like it's like
no time has passed. Yeah.
Or some people, it's very rigid, and it's very if it's that uncomfortable, it's probably not the best, like, you know, relationship to be really like struggling to find. And I don't think you get fun with this.
I don't think you're having fun. Yeah, we don't need to get into that. I was just like, I just need you to know that this is this.
Yeah. It's interesting that my best friend since I was 18, he was the first person I met in college. We dated for a while. He was in my wedding. He and I are both very ADHD, and there have not really ever been times when it was years past or anything like that we didn't talk. But especially so I took 2 years off of school while all my friends were still in college, and there was a year of that when I had moved back there, but I was working a full-time job, and they were still in school, but I was there. But for the year that I lived at home, we used to write letters to each other, because this was the 90s, it was the early to mid 90s. And so we wrote letters. We're both like, now everyone's, we trade memes all the time, but like, things like, we're in our, early to mid 50s now. And he's, he just turned 54 in December. He started watching Supernatural probably 6 months ago or something like that. And so occasionally we'll get on, like, we'll get on the phone and we'll watch an episode together or something. But like, it's years have gone by, I mean, it's been 35 years, and we still do that, we still, but it's not super structured necessarily. It's kind of like what Kasey was saying. It's like, it just kind of happens. It's like sort of spontaneous, like, hey, what do you think about this or whatever? And maybe days have gone by or sometimes weeks, like we haven't really talked or anything. We just jump right back into the conversation again. But that's the way it's always been. And so, and I've had some friendships that haven't really, maintained because I wasn't the one, I wasn't the one who was trying to drive it, and it's like, there's bitterness or something like that, because it's like, well, you didn't call me on my birthday or something like that. It's like, well, I'm calling you now, like, you didn't call me on my birthday either, dude. And why was that? Because you're mad that I didn't call you on your birthday, like, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so weird to me.
I don't have time for that. Like, I'm sorry, sometimes I'm date blind. I did not deliberately not call you, but the fact that you're deliberately not calling me because I accidentally didn't call you. No.
Right. That's not friendship, really, to me. That's not like, there's no value in that. There's no reciprocity. It's like, I didn't do it intentionally. And how long have you known me? Like, I didn't do it to hurt you or to, and if you were hurt, then why wouldn't you have brought that to me? Because if you had hurt me, I would have brought it to you, like.
Yeah, there's an acceptance that I think people just lack about, like, not everybody's going to meet you at your level, and you have to be okay with that.
Or if you need it, if that's what you need, then I need to know that. Like, like, don't just assume that everyone does what you do. So I don't know, man. Like, I've just gotten to the point in my life where I'm like, I just don't have time for any of that. And like, if it goes, again, this is definitely a Capricorn trait. Like, if it goes away and you're pissed about it and you haven't taken the time to like talk to me about it and tell me what bothers you, then I'm not going to take my time now. I'm not going to chase you, Yeah.
I think there's something about, and I saw this recently, but I think I've always kind of I've evolved into having this attitude about people and friendships and stuff, is that everybody's the main character of their own story. So it's like, you have to understand that from a perspective, you are a supporting character for everybody else. You are not everybody's main character. And I think that's something that it's like, if you can get into that mindset and kind of understand that, then you're okay with the fact that you're going to hop in and out. Maybe you're going to be that go-to friend with all the quips, or are you just going to come and be like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? Like, like that kind of a thing. It's like, there's all these different parts that you don't necessarily, you're not going to be that person's, oh my gosh, what am I doing to make sure this person's dreams and hopes and aspirations all get to where they need to go? No, that's your job as your main character. And you've got the other people that are supporting you. And I think that's important for people to come to terms with. I don't know if it's ever going to happen for a lot of people, but I think that's what I do to make it make sense for me. When somebody's just maybe I was expecting something, my expectations need to be lowered to a certain extent, or because, everybody's going through shit and there's all different shit and it's all important to them. So just kind of be mindful of it, but kind of like, be like, you know what, I just need to take a step back and just focus on myself. And if it's important, it will come back to me. It might not be for a while, whatever. There we go. So maturing, right? That's what it's all about. Maturity, like
Yep.
figuring out the things as we get older. And some people,
That's what they tell us.
that's what they tell us. Yes, we can still do all of the other things that make absolutely no sense and say, no, we're definitely not maturing. I guess I think what I wanted to ask, because we've talked to you about this before, like you've got, like you said, decades sort of like in fandoms, like Buffy and all these different things. And we've gotten to talk about sort of how fandoms changed. And I think one of the things too was like, what do you think about maturing in fandom that maybe should be spotlighted and championed more, that maybe isn't? And I don't know if this goes along the lines with like Kasey and I were talking about, like, you know, like female anatomy and what we have to go with and struggle with as we get older. But like, what do you think should be spotlighted and championed more for people that are maturing in fandom? That isn't.
Well, I had two thoughts on this, and one was one is a little bit longer of a discussion, and I'll get to that in a second. But I did talking about female anatomy. This probably isn't really what you're talking about, but I did mention to, I think it was Becca a couple months ago, that, and somebody else, maybe we were talking about, you know, menopause and perimenopause and how that might, not a story all about it, because like who really wants to read that, but like how it might affect your relationships. And because it certainly has affected mine. I mean, you know, Mike and I just celebrated 22 years of marriage in October, and we've been together for 26 years. And I've had a lot of other relationships that were, you know, some would say I'm a serial monogamist. I had a lot of serious relationships in my life, even before Mike. And how intimacy changes, you know, and your desires and what intimacy means to you changes as you get older. And so, and how you share that with your life partner changes with hormonal changes. And so, you know, trying to communicate that to probably someone, you know, to your partner or to friends or something who don't have those hormones or who aren't going through those things or who haven't gone through those things, can sometimes be difficult, especially when it's somebody who's your romantic and sexual partner. And so and I'm not discrediting my husband in any way, but it's not super easy for him. And so, you know, but he tries. And I think that's important. I mean, that's why I picked him, you know, but, you know, because I know that he's going to keep getting back in there. But it's not an easy thing. And so I think this is kind of the crux of this whole conversation that we were going to have today about, you know, not sugarcoating characters and creating kind of realistic characters without being an edgelord. Like, I'm not trying to put stories out there that are like shocking or edgy or something. I just I'm writing a story that's about what I've experienced, but then maybe also exploring the fictional aspect of that. You know, I'm not, these aren't memoirs or anything, but that's for sure based on my own experience and how people would react in a situation like that, how they would perform and, you know, how they would feel. And so sometimes that could be boring to some people. I think, you know, you kind of touched on it a little bit. You did not say that it was boring, but you did say, Sandra, at the beginning that, you know, sometimes kind of, how did you put it? Like how, you know, kind of trying to get away from reality.
Yeah. Like the escaping part of it. Yeah.
Escapism. And so you know, some people don't want to read that because it's like, I'm living that. Why would I want to read about it? But I think what I try to do is I try to have that be a core of something, like this is who I am right now. And this is, you know, or this is what my sister's going through right now. Or, you know, this is what my mom told me that has never left my mind about her, something that she went through with my dad in her 30s or 40s or something. And I want to put that into a story because I know someone's going to be able to relate to that. And it's not, you know, but it's still a story. It's still fiction. There's still going to be fictionalized things. There's still going to be funny moments. There's still going to be sexy moments, you know, but it's somebody that you can be like, this isn't so completely off the grid from who I am, because I can actually, I went through that. And here's this other person who's going through this thing, but then these other things happen. And so it's kind of nice to see, you know, something that's maybe funny and fun and sexy too, because, without it feeling like, why didn't I do that? Or why did my story end so poorly? Because maybe it still doesn't end with a happy ending, but it is something that's relatable and it's something that's, it's something that can be funny and sexy and, whatever. And so, I thought about, I've thought about that, and I may still do it at some point, right? Something where somebody's in their midlife, and trying to go through that and because some of it is really funny, I mean, it sucks and it's depressing, but also some of it's really funny. And so,
I think I absolutely think there would be interest and, like a market for that, because it's so relatable and you so rarely, like, we're not going to hate on contemporary romance, but it's very sanitized, and we all sanitize to a certain degree, but like,
for sure,
someone who's living in that, like me and Sandra were talking about menopause, I imagine reading that, like, my baby ass will shut up about it. Imagine reading someone dealing with that in like intimate situations and being like, oh my God, that's happened to me. And fucking, I hate it when that happens. That's freaking relatable,
Yeah, and I think it'd be interesting, like, to write a story where, like, you are in a relationship with Dean Winchester, but you're not interested in having sex. For whatever reason.
What? That's illegal. That's illegal.
That's the thing. Like, like,
that is the thing. Oh my God, Sandra, like, I never ever, so full disclosure, and I think I said this on another podcast, that I've really identified as hypersexual most of my sexual life. And that has a whole set of problems of its own. I definitely gave that to Brandy in the Soldier Boy fic. But like, I am now at the point, and this has been going on now for almost a year, where I'm just like, I don't even think about sex. Like, I don't, and I love my husband. I've always been attracted to him. But like, Simon, my best friend, and I talking about this the other day, I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, this is not normal. And he's like,
it is, but
it's totally normal.
Yeah. But nobody talks about it, and it's just like, it's one of those things where, again, like, with fanfic and everything, like, like you're thinking, oh, I'd be going at it like rabbits with this dude. And it's like, well,
no.
Would you? No, you probably wouldn't.
Nope.
And it would come to a point where it's like, nope. There's there would be some what's going on? Like, I could see the look on his face, like, well, what do you mean?
Wait, what?
What do you mean, not tonight, honey? And you're like, not tonight, honey.
Yeah.
Because it's been like, it was like this for 20 years, and now
it's
and now just nothing. And I mean, so there's a whole host of challenges with that, because for me, let's take out of the equation that I've always been very interested in sex. What if I'm just a regular person who's just had regular interest in sex, and then just one day you just don't, and you're looking at your partner who happens to be Dean Winchester, and you've had great sex for a long time, and you're like, I don't feel anything. What is this? Like, what is there something wrong with me?
I must insist that the pair of you collab on this. You must write this. The people need this.
The people need this.
the people need this. I need this, please, for me. It's my birthday in a couple of months. Come on now.
Well, and my therapist, who is an absolute fucking delight, by the way, she is so funny. She's like, oh, MJ, like, this is just a bump in the road. Like, and I'm like, you're fucking adorable.
How long is the bump gonna be?
And she's like, I know. That's what I'm like. But Annie, this is a really big bump, and it just keeps going. Like, and she's like, and she's my mom's age, so she's like in her mid to late 70s, and she's just like, oh, honey, like, it's gonna get so much better. And I'm like, okay, I'll just hang on.
When?
Like, I'll just
specifically when?
I need a timeline, Annie. Like,
I think it's the evolution of, like you said, like, loving your partner, but how it changes. And like you were talking about, like, a hypersexualized, like, my husband and I, he's gonna love this. Like, we do not we've never really had like we don't go at it like all the time. So we were already at that point, like, before. So now this hits, and it's like, I love you, I want to cuddle, I want to do all the things, but like, it's not there. It's just, it's not. And, and he's very understanding, and he's very loving, and just kind of like, he gives me like the little, like, he tries to be a little flirty and and I'm like, and I go along with that to a certain extent, but it's like, your body's just like, why? Like, you know, like
Right.
I don't know. So yeah, I think that would be a very interesting, like, fanficky, like, apply it to this person that everybody's like, oh my God, he's like, you know, the best thing ever in every aspect of, like, in the sheets situation. Like, everything else we could talk about, like, he's got
and
issues,
still,
but this
here
is
we
working.
are. Yes.
So here we are.
Yeah. And let's also talk about cuddling related to hot flashes. Don't fucking touch me.
I've gotten past that point, thank God. Like, I'm now in, like,
no.
full on, like it's like none of that. Yeah, it took about 2 or 3 years of that, but I got
Jesus
over
Christ,
that.
don't tell me it's going to be 2 or 3 years. Like, this has not even been a year.
I've heard
my
some
husband
people
just
it's longer,
me.
so I hope it's as short
Oh,
as possible
God.
for you.
Because my husband just reminded me the other day, because I was like, when will this end? I was literally spread eagle on top of the blankets in bed, completely naked, like spread eagle. And he's like clinging to the side of the bed. Like, I was like, when will this end? And he's like, do you remember last April when you packed away the winter bedding? And because he's very much a tossing and turning person. So I got us both our own duvets.
Right,
Because I'm like,
Yes.
every time you move, I get blasted with cold air and I can't take it. Like, I've always been cold.
Yeah.
Like, I have Raynaud's also. So, like, my toes and my hands get cold. Really cold, and they turn white, and it's really weird. And so I'm like, I still have Raynaud's, but I also have hot flashes. And so I'm like, how do I go from being ice cold to feeling like my skin is on fire?
Yeah.
Like, it's not, and you're not just like suddenly warmed up. You're like sweating.
It
feel
just
like
comes
the
on.
sun is beating on your face.
Yeah,
like,
it's
I
like,
feel
where
like
did
my
this
skin's
happen?
gonna peel off.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. No, I don't want you to touch me. I don't want to cuddle, you know, and it's because of the physical aspect of it. Like, I do want to cuddle, like, inside my heart.
But also, please leave.
But please stop touching me, because I'm gonna peel my skin off. Like,
yeah, there's
Yep.
so much. There's so much to have to.
Aren't
like,
you so hashtag
so lucky?
Don't you feel so hashtag blessed to be like one of the very few animals that lives long enough to experience menopause? Hashtag so blessed, you guys.
Yeah, no, I hope
So
I hope it
blessed.
ends as quickly as possible for you, MJ,
Yes.
because it is
Oh,
not
God.
like, I mean, yeah, I was just like, it was there was a lot going on for a while, and then I was like, okay. I was saying to Kasey, I was like, I kind of love not having my period, but then I was like, but I started so early. Like, I start like on the earlier end, that it's like, you know, what is that going to do to the rest of my decades without, you know? And I've heard about, you know, like, you get conflicting stuff about HRTs and everything, and I don't know what to do. Like, my doctor's like, it's fine. And I'm like, but I think I should. And it's just like, I don't know. There's not enough championing of what a woman can do, that you don't get the right kind of information. And it's just like, I could see poor Dean Winchester. Like, I don't know.
I'm telling you,
Like,
I'm concocting this fucking story in my head of the most baffled Dean Winchester to ever exist. Just being like, sweetie, I love you. How can I make this?
It can turn on a dime, and it's just like all of a sudden you'd feel like you're a different person, you know? And that's like, how does somebody else manage a different person? So
I'm afraid I must insist, guys, that you write this. I'm afraid.
Because it's the phrase that I've used so many times, and I use this a lot even before I had a hysterectomy, because I don't know if I told you that before, but, you know, 8 years ago, I had not a full hysterectomy. I had my uterus removed because I had fibroids, and bleeding so much that I was anemic, and I just would fall asleep sitting up when I came home from work and things like that. So I always said, before this happened, you know, before menopause, back when I was still having, you know, periods, I said, you know, I didn't feel like my body was my own, you know, my time wasn't my own, my body wasn't my own. And then I had a good respite period there, maybe 6 years or something, where I had stopped bleeding. And before all this, you know, the hot flashes and the I have no interest in sex happened. And now I'm right back to it again. And I'm just like, is there ever going to be a time again when I'm going to feel like I have control over my body? And I don't know. You know, is it ever going to come back?
Bodies, hashtag gross.
Yes.
Uterus ownership is bullshit. I I'm declaring this.
It is.
I will
It
happily
is.
donate my uterus to anybody that wants it. I do not.
Oh my God.
Did not consent to this.
Oh my goodness.
Really gross.
Yeah. Well, you had asked the question, and then I was going to answer that briefly, and then it turned into a 20-minute
That's
discussion.
fine.
So
If you have
there
another
was
answer.
there was, and I'm trying to remember what it was. I said there were two things. So what was the original question? Because
It's
now
like
I can't remember what it.
how is like maturing in fandom? Like, what do you think should be spotlighted and championed more?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that that's that for sure. And I think that as far as fandom goes and fandom interaction, this is one of the things that I've noticed a lot. I've been in fandom long enough that I started in fandom when I was a younger person. And so I was kind of on that end of we, that the people my age were bringing new initiatives into fandom interaction and into the types of fics that we wrote and things like that. But I do think that one of the things that I always appreciated was having older people in my space when I was younger to inform me of the history of things, and I did appreciate that. And so I was a little bit careful about how I would just be like, no, this is it, this is, and it goes like a perfect example. And this might be kind of a petty example is Drabble, how everyone's like, this is a Drabble. And I'm like, but it's not. Like, it's never been like anything that's not exactly 100 words is not a Drabble. And
right,
it never
which
has
I didn't
been.
know.
Never.
Like, I didn't know until recently when I finally got that. I was like, oh, it's only 100 words. So yeah, the use of it. Yeah.
And so there's just things like that where I'm like, call it whatever you want. Call it hell. I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
I legitimately call it whatever you want, but don't fucking argue with people who've been in the spaces for decades.
Yep.
When if I want to call a Drabble exactly 100 words and I want to base an entire contest around it or an entire challenge around it, don't come at me. Like, fuck off,
Yep.
like leave people alone to let them do what is important. Cause I don't jump into people's, comments or whatever and be like, this isn't a Drabble. It's exactly 100 words. Like, just, I don't do that. So when someone's doing something that is historically accurate or exciting to some people, that is a challenge. That is the whole point of the challenge, is that it's exactly 100 words.
Right.
So there are just things like, there's something, it's just like in any other community. It's not just fandom. People who've been around for a long time have value and they have important things to contribute. And so I think that just completely discrediting people because they're old, and by some fandoms being 27 is old or 25 is old, it's like, what, so who am I? I'm 54, but that doesn't do anything to me. Exactly.
Respect, but not like in a gross, like, I'm old and I deserve it. Like, no, respect your elders because we've lived some shit, okay? Like, we're trying to
and
help.
we have the experience and we've seen a lot of different changes, and there's a wealth of information and there's also a wealth of experience, and I think that that's something that's important to recognize.
Because I agree with you, but why do you think that is, that it's just not valued anymore? Like, do you have any?
I think it's just a general generational thing, just as we see in everyday life. I mean, there's just a lot of people who, discredit older people, and they always have. You just don't know. You just don't understand.
Oh my God, you're so old. You
means.
just don't even like I have a teenage son. So
Yeah.
I'm like, and I've worked with people who are like Gen Z, like a whole ass generation. And then like, and I've seen this on Tumblr as well. These people will come up to you, like my son included, although he doesn't so much because he knows that I know a shitload more about a lot of stuff than he does. But like, I don't know, Gen Z, I'll come up to you and tell you with such confidence something that you distinctly remember. And they're like, it was this. And you're like, baby, I was there. And it wasn't.
It wasn't. Yeah. But you also have to step back for a second. And this is what I have always, my sister has 4 girls and they're all adults now. And when they were younger, they were eager for knowledge, historical knowledge, cultural knowledge. They never discredited my parents or me or my sister about our experiences that we had when we were their age. They never rolled their eyes. They were always like eager to listen into all 4 of them. Like they were into it, And as a result, now as adults, they're very, they're very aware of, so like when I grew up, some of my favorite films to this day are films that my parents showed me that were from the 1940s. Cary Grant's one of my all-time favorite actors. That's not my generation.
Yeah.
That's not my generation, but those are some of my favorite films. Those girls too. They love Cary Grant. They love Elvis Presley. They love John Wayne. Like, not the people necessarily, but like they love those
that era,
things.
those things.
Yeah. But they also love everything from my sister and my generation. They love those 80s movies and music. They love their movies and music. And so I think that what's really important is that we all, are able to, taking it back to the fandom aspect, all able to appreciate. I mean, think about, where did slash fic start? It started with people writing, Star Trek fic, Spock and Kirk fic in the 60s.
Yeah.
Like, you're not creating anything new, babies, just because you think that you're whatever this, what's the new movie that's out right now? The
that
rivalry.
Heated rivalry.
Heated rivalry.
Yeah.
It's all over my dashboard. And I'm just fascinated. Like, I'm fascinated by it because first of all, I love that Renaud. What's that guy's name? Arnaud. What's his name?
Oh, I have no idea. I haven't looked at it.
But I'm fascinated by the fact that they think they're doing something new. And, they're like, but older people don't understand. Bitch, people have been doing this for 100 plus years. Like, I mean, in fandoms, it's been happening since Star Trek, and people have been writing. It's not edgy. It's not new.
Yeah.
Look at the history of things. It's what you're doing is very exciting and new to you. And that's super cool. But don't act like we don't know.
Yeah.
Like, don't act like we've never been there.
This. Yeah.
Yeah. And we don't get it, and we're like, oh, they're never going to get it because they're old, like you're 13. You've lived 13 years and maybe only 8 of those have been real conscious years,
Fucking behave yourself.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Come on. But like, dig in, be curious, dig in and look at it and be like, what, people were shipping. What's really like punk rock about it is like Spock and Kirk weren't actually a couple, creating slash fic. That's fucking revolutionary. Like your heated rivalry, like that's canon. It's right there. There's no real imagination to that. I'm not discrediting it. I'm just saying, like, you're not being new or edgy by taking like a canon couple and being like, do, and we get it. We've been there. We've seen it. We've seen a lot of it, so dig in.
I think there might be that disinterest in storytelling, like you were talking about, because like I remember, like again, and it's generational. And you're like, oh, my parents just don't understand me or whatever. But like, you would still take the time, or like I remember like listening to stories, like you said about like my mom, my grandparents, different things like that, and just taking that in that history. And I mean, I don't know, maybe they just don't want to know about the history anymore. Like that to me is just like, maybe that's where the disconnect is. It's just sad. Like, and I think that is sad. Like I'm trying to wonder, like, where is that it's just not there anymore. Like it doesn't have to be all the time, but like just you take a moment and you're like, oh, that's it. This is how I can connect to my parent, or like, they had this love of something, that I understand and I love as much, but it's different, it's,
but it shows you so many different aspects of something to love. I think one of the notes that you put in our document was to talk about how multiple social media platforms have, especially now with algorithms, like you're only seeing, man, I Sandra, I don't know if you saw, I know you're not on Facebook a lot, but like I posted this quote from Barack Obama when he left, his not his concession speech, but his exit speech or whatever you call it. Like when he left the White House, and he was saying, he was warning everybody against retreating into their bubbles, and only listening to like minds and only listening to similar experiences. And I think that's just an overarching concept of what we're dealing with as a society now because of the advent of social media and algorithms. But there is no algorithm on Tumblr, but you can tailor your experience, right?
Yeah.
But but people don't stick to only just Tumblr either. And so they're all over, people are all over.
It's not knowing how to behave in the different spaces too that I think, like, they're taking the way one thing works and they're just assuming it's going to work in every other aspect. Like, you have to learn how the process changes, and like, just because it works here doesn't mean it's going to work there. And I don't think anybody has the time or the effort or the interest in figuring out all of those things. I don't know. And that goes across the board. That's generation. I mean, I work with people older than me. It's the same way. Like, so I don't know if it's more, I don't know if it's even generational, if it's just like you said, like almost like societal, like it's just our brains are shifting into this is how things are now,
where people are very comfortable with their own experiences and their own opinions. And there's just no curiosity to look into something. I was a history major. Like, I graduated from college with a double major in history and political science. And I used to spend hours in the archives reading, original journals from people in the Civil War, for example, and not even soldiers, but, people behind who were taking care of families, and their men were off fighting. And and obviously that's not my generation, and I'm sitting there reading these things, and I'm like, these people are just like us. They have the same emotions, they have the same hardships. It's just a different time. And, to just say, well, times change or something is not, there's no curiosity or humanity in that, and I think there's some of that that's been lost in fandoms. And again, I don't want to, this isn't really a Tumblr thing. But it's for sure just somebody made this ridiculous comment on a fic of mine that's 20 years old. I was dying. I took a screen cap and I sent it to Brianna. And it was just, and I went to their, so I went to their profile, and I don't know how old they are, but they had like 8 fics, and, and they started writing in like 2022. And I was like, who the fuck are you? You're going to come at me about a fic. Like, it was not a 20-year-old fic. Let's see. I posted it. It's close to it because I posted it. It was one of the first, it was when I moved everything from Fanfiction to AO3. And so it's been on there, and it's an old Twilight fic that I wrote, and it's an Edward Leah pairing, and they did not put a kudos on the fic. They didn't make any other comment. Their only comment was, "Can you please tag this with Rare Pair?"
No, fuck off.
And I was like,
just purely based on the way you came at me? No.
I was like, what? And then I just went on about my workday because it just came up in my notifications on my phone. And I was like, what? Okay, whatever. And then when I went back at the end of the day and I was like looking through and so I just started laughing, took a screen cap, sent it to Brianna. Holy fuck. She went off on like a complete like rant about it. She was like, I hope you replied. I was like, this is how I replied. And I just replied, why? And I never got a response from them. And I'm like, why would I do that? Like, it's been this fic has been posted on this website for 15 years, and it's a 20-year-old, it's almost 20-year-old fic. And you want me to now tag it with, like, it literally says Ed Leah. Like, why do I have to post?
Why do you actually have
you?
That's the thing. It's like, how does it get catered to me? Like, that's like,
yes,
I want it this way. And I think that's where
I was like, this is not,
you could dream.
What the fuck? It was the weirdest. I was like, that's such an encapsulation of, please make everything easier for me to digest. You are ruining my experience. Like, my one little fic that's 18 years old and has been on this site since 2011. And did I ruin your day, princess?
Rare Pair Police. Yeah, it says, feels like that's what's happening. That's what's happening.
It's like, no, I'm not going to tag a Rare Pair because that wasn't a thing. That was not a tag in 2011. Like, no. And I haven't even touched that fic since I uploaded it. Like, I'm not going to tag it Rare Pair for you, sweetheart. Like, my God.
We love fandom.
We
Oh
love it. We're
god.
here of our
So
own free
funny.
will. Honestly, we are. Like
Oh
twice
my
if you need
gosh.
help.
I feel like you hit a lot of the social media stuff that I had like in the doc too, but and I know we were talking a little bit about like the raw realism. But here's my thing too is and this will go into your fic a little bit more, but portraying a character without romanticizing them, like being true to a character with no sugarcoating at all, like making something like how important to you is it across the board? Like, do you take an AU into consideration and be like, okay, I can play around with this character a little bit? Or do you really do you kind of feel like I want to portray this character the way I feel they would be no matter what situation you put them in? Because I feel like you do that with this. I mean, this is an AU, the Soldier Boy OFC fic, but I feel like you took all of that stuff because I just like Soldier Boy to me is he's a different beast entirely than Dean Winchester. Like there's something, he's just different in all ways. And I find him very difficult to find any way to write a fic about him. Like I said, I never understood why I couldn't. I think, like I said, I had the revelation with your stuff.
He's not a nice person.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it took me a while to figure out how to write that AU because for one thing, I was excited to write it because I was like, no superhero stuff, right? So it should be easier because then you just make it. And then I was like, but then who is he? Because at his core, I mean, canonically, he's a narcissist. So I know we throw that word around a lot these days. But he truly is a narcissist. I mean, that's how Crookie created him. The live action version of him, and that's who he is. We know that about him.
Yeah.
And so I started thinking about all the narcissists that have hurt the women in my lives and what that looked like, and I was able to put him together that way. Obviously there were some of the paths that I didn't go down. I didn't go down any kind of physical violence or anything. I won't write a story like that.
Right.
That's not something that I can do. And
I think that would have done a disservice to the story that you were trying to tell, is that it's very easy to go, oh, he hits you, he's a bastard. But it's not always that cut and dry.
exactly.
Abusive people can be abusive in very
Insidious
ways. Yeah.
Yep. And it builds. Here's the thing that here's a point that I wanted to make today. I said this to you, Sandra, and I think I said it to you as well, Kasey, that I exited that fic well before I probably should have. And I ended it probably before I should have because it started to really be a little darker in my head and difficult for me to navigate. Sandra, you saw some of the earlier drafts of some things. And so I did bail faster than I probably should have to actually do the story justice. And so I don't expect it to be something that a lot of people read and go, this was a delight to read, like so much fun. So it was, definitely she got off easy and I like that for her. I think I think that there's something about that I'm okay with. I did write 11,000 words from his perspective.
Oh.
And I'm not going to it's never going to see the light of day.
Right. Right.
And just to get it out of my system.
Yeah.
That's fascinating though so were you like, I need to get into this head to try to understand it, or I just need to get his side of it out?
I wanted to get his side of it. And it never justified anything. It never made anything okay. It would to him. It would to him though, right? Like, I mean, it would probably make sense to him. I think he thinks that he is right. I think he thinks he's good where he's at. He doesn't think that by society's standards or by anybody else's opinion, he knows that people think he's horrible, but he's okay with that.
Yeah.
He thinks that actually makes him better.
Yeah.
And, because he's honest, right?
Yeah.
And
he
you know,
tells it like it is, and he doesn't
yeah.
put society's like pressure on things.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
such
Like
an
he's not
asshole.
going to submit to what society expects of him. Like he's better. And
Mm.
so,
Yeah.
um, I spent some time doing that just to see what would happen. And I'm not interested in putting that out there.
No.
But, and so I do know that I ended that more quickly than probably, had it been something I was going to, publish professionally or something, there would have been an extra 10 chapters and it would have been a
Yeah.
little bit more difficult. And, she would not have gotten off so easy. And, it was very much a neat little bow at the end, which is not really my bag usually. But
Yeah.
my sister had a horrible marriage and she had this horrible man who was very similar to this character
Mm.
in her life, who was also physically and sexually abusive on top of it, which is why I didn't want to go there. I couldn't do that. And I didn't want to do that to Brandy. I didn't want her to go through that, so that last chapter is probably a little bit less realistic
Yeah,
than,
because I remember
how
saying
it
to you, I was like,
normally
is Brandy
ends.
going to be okay? Like, I want Brandy to be
Yeah.
okay, like that kind of a thing.
And I
Because,
did
yeah,
too. I
yeah.
couldn't, I didn't really, I battled with it so much there
Mm-hmm.
toward the end. And I'm like, you know what? Just fucking give her a happy ending.
Yeah.
Women deserve this.
Mm-hmm.
We deserve this. We deserve to be able to walk away from him relatively unscathed.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
that's not something that I normally do, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to do that. Like, I have done that.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone there with the story I was just talking about, for example,
Mm-hmm.
the 20-year-old Twilight fic that I wrote with Leah and Ed, which was totally an AU, obviously. But
Mm-hmm.
like and I have written those ugly emotional things, and I didn't want to do that to her,
Mm-hmm.
because he doesn't deserve it. Fuck him,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't want him to win,
Mm-hmm.
any of that,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
What was interesting for me is because I only read this last night. I really felt like for the first, it's like 6 chapters long, isn't it? And for the
yeah,
first 5 of them, it felt like I had to look back at the tags more than once to be like, is unreliable narrator a tag here? Like, because that's what it felt like. Like,
yeah,
I was kind of like, just wanted to grab her by the lapels and go, fucking stop. But like,
Mm-hmm.
she just couldn't, like, she could see, but she couldn't stop. And I was like,
couldn't stop.
I don't know. But I think the way that the ending, like, is it a little bit, wrapped up with a bow? Like, would it go like that in reality? No, it wouldn't. But it's fiction. But I really like the idea that everyone, like, she was able to tell people what was happening, and everyone came together to get her.
Yeah, yeah,
And like
that would
that
happen. That
that
has
would
happened.
happen. Yeah, that
And
would happen. It
yep,
wouldn't.
because everybody else knew him except for her. She was the new
Mm-hmm.
girl, and she thought she was immune. She thought she could go in because she thought,
Yeah,
I'm just as mean and I'm just as badass as he is. You know what? Fuck
Mm-hmm.
him. Like, I'll do this. And
mm-hmm.
she wasn't immune to it. She wasn't immune to his manipulation. She wasn't immune to his abuse. She did get off easily because she had these people who were not going to let her go down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
She had people who were like, no, no, and you don't know him and it's okay. And now we're here and we've got your back.
Yeah.
And
mm-hmm.
we see her as this, and everyone tells her, it's in the text, but it's also in her actions. She's strong, she's self-possessed, she's all these things. No one is immune to that,
Mm-hmm.
because when a narcissist sets their mind to, well, we see it as destroying something, they see it as trying to, make it theirs, make it better,
Mm-hmm.
whatever they think
Mm-hmm.
that they're doing. They are destroying it, and they will do it, and they can do it, no
Yeah.
matter who you are. No one's above it. No one's
Yeah.
immune to that.
I think like I I know a little bit about narcissists,
Mm-hmm.
but not like the the inner workings of it. But I do think for a malignant narcissist, destroying something so no one else can have it is absolutely something, and that's very much like, I don't think in this story he was like, oh, I'm gonna destroy her so no one else can have her, only I
He
can
would have
have her.
gotten there. He would have gotten there.
Yeah, he would have gotten there. I don't think he started out that way. I think he started out as, I want that. It's mine and I want it.
Yep.
I want it and there's no reason I can't have it. But then you saw, like, I was leaving comments on the fic. So my first comments are like, I don't feel like this is as bad as it was represented.
No, it doesn't. It's like in the beginning,
It's
that's
insidious.
The thing. No,
it
but
creeps in, but then like.
But I remember like looking back at comments, like the initial chapter was, this is hot, this is sexy, this is great, and then like it just crumbles in my brain. Like as you get further, it's like you see it past the surface, and then you start to see what's happening.
It was
her first interaction with him, though. He has no empathy for her situation.
Right.
He just he's doing. Brianna and I went back and forth on this. She's like, why would he even help her?
Mm.
And I was like, because he thinks that's what he's supposed to do, to look good to her. He thinks that's being a man. He thinks that he goes through the motions with these things.
Yeah.
He does these things.
Yeah.
You know what? Narcissists.
It's like grooming. It's a grooming process.
Exactly. And narcissists don't move through the world going, fuck everybody. I'm just going to be a dick all the time. No, they don't. You know what they do?
Super manipulative.
They're performative. Yeah. They're performative. They put on things, and you could see it in his actions. His heart wasn't in it. He wasn't being empathetic about it. He was doing it because he thought he has to appear to be this big, strong man. And when she didn't take the bait, oh, she's a prude. Sorry, I didn't know you were a prude. And he just turns his back on her like it's no big deal. You know, and here she is like completely fucking gobsmacked by the entire experience because he's like hot and cold in the same moment with no emotional attachment at all. He's completely detached from the experience, and he's doing it because he wants to fuck her, for one thing, but also because he thinks that everyone in his neighborhood needs to know that he's the man in the neighborhood. You know, he's the guy who can fix your car. He's the guy who can tell you all about yourself. He's the guy who, you know, he knows you. He knows himself. He knows you. He's, you know, all these things. And that interaction was like, Brianna was like, why would he even help her? This is bullshit. Like, he wouldn't even. And I'm like, yeah, he would. Yes, he would. He's going to wait for her to come to him, but he's going to help her, and he's going to do it. He's going to make it look like he waved a magic wand and he's amazing, you know?
Yeah.
No, I think, Kasey, you like your point about unreliable narrator. I mean, I think that's like when you're in a relationship with someone like that, like your head gets turned this way and that, and you can't see, you know, what makes sense and what doesn't. So I think the unreliable narrator is a spot on. Like, she's just trying to figure shit out, you know, like, and it's just like, but it's this constant wearing down that I think I was starting to see, like the little ways that he was doing things to her. And I think, I mean, like I talked to you, MJ, about the fact that I was starting to feel triggered by it because it was coming back to me as like, this is how this happened with me. You know, when I was in a relationship with someone that I do consider was like a narcissistic sociopath. Like I really, like, I am sure that's what it was, because they make you question yourself so much that you're like, well, this is all I know. So I might as well just kind of, I have to give this person credence or value because they must see something that I don't see. And then you question everything. And it just, so that's I guess that's my worry or concern. And we might have talked about this, MJ, I don't remember. Like with people that write a character like this, a certain way that ends up romanticizing them in a way that I feel is so not normal or healthy. Are they setting themselves up? Like, I want to I want to be like, no, this isn't what you want. This isn't what you want in real life. Like, make sure you understand this, if this is fiction. Like, do you worry about that? Because I see that in a lot of I understand the bad boy. Like, we're all about the bad boy. Like, Dean, you could say is the bad boy, but he's a bad boy with the heart of gold. There's nothing redeeming about this character. But I see some people twisting it. And my worry is, are they trying to make more of this character? And then do they believe that that's acceptable for them? Because they shouldn't want to accept that in any way, shape, or form. Like, where's the fact and where's the fiction in that kind of a situation?
Well, I think that's a sort of a dangerous topic to
Mm-hmm.
dissect in one moment. I think that's
Yeah.
a longer discussion because I
Yeah.
think when it comes to especially romance stories,
Mm-hmm.
people do at the core of it, when it comes to a romance story, no matter if we're writing something that's, you know, what we're talking about now, maybe trying to be a little bit more realistic and not sugarcoat things. At the core of it, we do want a little bit of escapism, regardless,
Mm-hmm.
because it's
Yeah.
romance. You know,
Yeah.
you do want the great sex, you do want the
Mm-hmm.
beautiful people, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in it. Whether they're physically beautiful or inherently beautiful, like you do want a little bit of the escapism.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I don't ever want to say that someone shouldn't write something or portray a character a certain way
Right.
but I hear where you're coming from,
I
because
just
that's your
worry.
heart, Sandra. I know that's your
Yeah.
heart, and I get that, and I would worry a little bit, like what the Shattered Like a Stone,
Mm-hmm.
when I wrote
Love
that
fic.
story, I had a back and forth with Keen, who was my beta for that at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and helped, was with me through that whole fic. And one of the conversations I had was, one of the reasons I pulled it eventually was I was like, there are kids on this website who are 19 and 20 years old, and this is about suicide,
Mm-hmm.
and this is about mental illness,
Mm-hmm.
and my nieces could read this,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, dude, it's fiction, and they have the right to do that. You can't censor that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm not censoring it. I just can't have it out there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I pulled it for that reason.
Yeah.
And I didn't rework it really. I kind of just went through it and cleaned it up a little bit and then reposted it as a one shot, like a couple of years later. But I have had those moments where I was like, what am I putting something out there that's harmful? Or if, I don't know, a 13-year-old or just, somebody who's less experienced is writing something about Soldier Boy, for example, being a girl dad or, whatever. Is that harmful to them? Should I worry about them? I think, what it boils down to is fan fiction, and it is escapism, and it is fantasy. And there, if that's what they're putting out there, that's what's in their head. And the fan fiction has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
It's just indicative of it. And so there's no stop or go for that. I think the only thing that is important in this conversation and in this dynamic is that, we're putting balances out there. So we're putting other things out there,
Right.
to show what's different about
It's like
that.
a cautionary tale is what I feel like, because again, I always go back to, like, I'm not a parent, but I know that my mom has always, like, been like, I just don't want you to make the same mistakes that I did. I'm like, but that's just life. But it's like, but it would be nice to get some ideas as well. If you did, this is what might happen, or this is what this might look like, or this is what this character or this person, if you were to really, like, get into detail, real reality of it, like, this is how it could go. Like, it could get really dark. It could get really, questioning, yourself for the benefit of what this other person is trying to take, from you. So yeah, I mean, I get that. I guess for me, it's just like, I just see everybody just, like, really putting a bow on everything, and it just makes me, like, irritated sometimes. I'm just like, no, don't do that all the time.
I think as excuse me, I'm like, we're wanking little soapbox out. As
a parent, yes, that's why we want this. Yes,
I think that mentality is really fucking dangerous. That I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I did. I think it's in the same kind of vein as, like, they call it lawnmower mums now, and it's like the next evolution of helicopter mums. Like, they just mow down everything in their kids' path, so they never face any kind of adversity at all.
Yeah.
And I think that it, like, there's a way to do that, and then there's a way to really fuck that up. But I don't think you can't protect. Kids are gonna make mistakes.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think it lays a lot of guilt on the child to go, I don't want you to make the same mistakes I did. I think the message that you need to be putting forward is, this is what I did, and this is what it resulted in.
The storytelling. Yeah.
I'd like you to make different choices, but if you end up in this situation, this is what helps. You know?
Or, I think the sentiment is, I don't want to, I mean, that's why I brought up the Shattered, experience that I had with Shattered by pulling it, because I couldn't bear it. Like that I had that I wrote that and put that out there, and there were children reading it. And that was my personal choice. It was not a moral decision. It was not I'm trying to stop them from reading this, or I'm going to be at fault if someone decides to do something like this. You know what I mean? That was never in the thought process. It was just that it was so painful for me to think about that, because I was thinking about, what if my niece read this? And I couldn't bear it. So I finally just took it down, and I put it back up again because I love that story. But I just had a hard time there thinking about like that I had put that out there.
No, absolutely. And I think that's crucial, because that's your personal opinion about this. You're like, I made this, but I am now, like, my circumstances have changed, and I am viscerally uncomfortable with this being available to the internet. But you don't owe the children of the internet moral lessons.
Exactly.
Like, again, on my wanky soapbox, I owe my children moral lessons because they are my children, and that is my responsibility. They should not be learning about this shit from the internet. You don't owe the children of the internet moral lessons. That's my job.
Exactly.
You know? And it's your art is yours, and how you feel about sharing it publicly is yours, and it's your goddamn right. But I have a lot of issues with the guilt parent style of, oh well, I fucked up and now you can't ever fuck up. You got to teach your kids how to fuck up. You have to teach them how to fail.
No, I understand that, but me coming from that isn't coming from, like, it was never a thought of, like, the guilt aspect of it. It's just the, like, you've gone through it, you've seen what's happened to you, and you just don't want that for someone else. Like, that's
you
like
don't.
that was my, like, thing when it came to that in particular.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, but bringing it back to like a soldier boy, I want to clarify what you're referring to about people, kind of sugarcoating characters. What was your connection to kind of now the discussion that we're having? The reason I'm asking is because I'm wondering if that was the connection that you were making, that people are kind of writing this fantasy about, he looks like this, these are the
but
things
he's
that we've
really
heard,
this way, and it's like,
really,
and I
really
can fix him, and I can
really
fix him. It's that thing that I think I always go back to, and like, to me, that's, and I get that, I mean, like, I started writing fan fiction at a young age too, and I think, like, writing stuff at a certain point, like, everything is fantasy, everything is, oh, I can fix him, oh, I can do that, and I love that we give readers an opportunity to find stuff that's more realistic. Like, I guess my worry is, like, is there just too much of this, like, oh no, it's really fine, it's okay to be treated this way, like, this is an okay thing, and not seeing that detriment. That's all. It's like, it's in my brain. It's like, how much are we as writers, readers, whatever, like, we're okay with it until we experience it, but then, like, we didn't have some of the storytelling, like we were talking about, to kind of like, oh wait, this is a thing maybe I should be paying attention to. This probably isn't a good thing. This isn't what I want.
So here's my problem with that. Not like my problem with you, Sandra. Just like like, I just have a difference of opinion on that particular subject. And it's very similar to what I was just saying to MJ. You don't owe, you as an artist, you don't owe the internet's children anything.
Right. Like,
in the UK over the last 6 months, I don't fucking remember when it came in, we now have something called the Online Safety Act. And you can't watch porn unless you verify your age. Because too many parents were shitty and the children were being exposed to pornography, and now nobody gets it. Okay, right? This whole thing, this whole like digital like parentification of the entire country is because you know, people were screaming that the internet was corrupting their children rather than fucking parenting.
Yeah.
So like if my kid comes across something like, you know, a sanitized version of an objectively horrible person, that should be on me, and it is my responsibility, and I should have raised them in such a way that they can look at that and go, that's fiction. In real life, this person is very dangerous.
Yeah.
And I need to be aware of this.
When I started reading fic, you know, and in my, you know, late teens, early 20s, I was like, why are people like, okay, so I should back up, because in, you know, in Buffy fandom, it was very much like Angelus was always written as Angelus, and probably and definitely worse because it was on the WB, you know, so there was never a moment when somebody wrote Angelus as like this secret heart of gold, you know, like if it was Angelus was the name on the fic, you knew what you were getting into. It was going to be dark. It was going to be bloody. He was going to be mean. If it was Angel, you'd get Angel, you know? So, but Soldier Boy is just a wild card because, you know, it's, you know, people, well, for one thing, going back to what I was saying earlier about writing this AU was like, you take out, and this was the big conversation that Brianna and I had when we were first talking about this, you take out the superhero aspect and what are you left with? So writing the AU without the superhero aspect is like, what are you left with? Now, are we just talking about your regular everyday asshole? Or, you know,
something
and is he just a little rough around the edge? Yeah. Is he just a little rough around the edges? Is he kind of, you know, does he just say stupid things, which personally I don't think is harmless. I think if an adult man is saying things like I see in some of these clips from fics that I see here and there, that's a red flag. That's not, you know, adult men don't talk like that. And
if they do, they are not people you should be with.
Exactly. They're not just soft on the inside and then they say things. Like, no, adult men in their 30s and 40s don't just make misogynistic statements, but really deep down inside they're a girl dad. Like, fuck that. No. You know what? And I just don't read those fics. Like some people write it, they want to read it, they love the roller coaster of, you know, they think it's funny. You know, they're funny little things that he says because he's a grumpy old girl dad or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want, my dad didn't talk like that. And he literally is, he's a Vietnam War vet. He voted for Trump. He doesn't talk like that. He didn't treat me like that. My dad raised me to be a feminist. Like, no one touches me without permission. That was something he said to me, drilled into my head as a child. Your body is yours. No one touches you without permission. No one talks to you. No one disrespects you loud. You know, like no. That's a red fucking flag. You know, if a man says a grown fucking man, last night we went to get pizza. There were these teenage boys at the top of the stairs, and I had my back to the door. My husband got distracted and was watching them, and I said, "What's going on?" And it's one of these old places that have been here for 35, 40 years, pizza place, right? So the whole wall you walk up the stairs to get to the place, it's upstairs. The walls are lined with stickers, graffiti. The glass door is completely covered in stickers. He's like, those kids are peeling stickers off the door. And I turned around and looked because I'm kind of, you know, I'm protective of some of our older places. Kids. My point in this is these are kids, okay? They're teenagers. They're not 30, 40-year-old men.
Right.
So I turn around and look, and as I turn around to look, he's taking a sticker that he peeled off somewhere else and he's putting it over the top of a sticker that says fuck ice.
Mm.
And I flames on the side of my face. Like I turned around and looked at my husband and he just tilted his head and he was like, babe. And I was like, I'm not going to start a fight, but I'm going to fucking say something. Because we're sitting in a big
look of a man
community.
who has been in this situation before going, oh, babe, please.
He was like, babe.
Can
and I'm
we
like,
eat
you know
first?
what? Yeah, that is Kasey. That's what he said. He was like, can we just wait till we're done eating? And I was like, I will. And we're sitting at a community table with a bunch of Mexicans. All right, like I'm not fucking around, you know. And so these fucking kids standing in line doing their fucking kid bullshit, get their order, and then so they walk by our table, and I turn around and I said, were you offended by that fuck ice sticker? And everyone in the place stops talking.
Mike's going, oh, for fuck's
And the kid's like,
maybe I love you, but please, hungry.
The kid legit pulls his hat, like pulls it down over his eyes and tries to keep walking. And I kept turning. And he was like, no, you know? And I was like, okay, then why did you put a sticker over the top of it? And he's like, I don't know. And I said, you don't know? And his friends were like, like it was these 3 little boys, you know? I mean, little boys. They were probably 18, 16, 18. And the 2 other boys were like, you know? And I was like, you don't know? And he's like, just shook his head. And I said, well, maybe you should think about that. And Mike's like, yeah, he probably doesn't know. And I said, why? Did his daddy tell him that he's supposed to be offended by that? Are you doing it because of your daddy?
Yeah.
And the girl, one of the girls at the table with us was like, like she just burst out laughing. I'm like, I'm not trying to be funny here, but these kids need to be fucking accountable for their actions.
They need to be told,
So he didn't know. He did not know why he did that.
Yeah.
But he's a child, okay? He's a child. He's a 16, 35, 40, 45-year-old men. Know why they do it, and they're not soft on the inside.
Yeah.
They do it because they're fucking pieces of shit.
Yeah.
They say those things because they're shitty people.
Yeah.
And they're misogynist. Like they don't make sexist, like I just am baffled by these constant, like all these fics that are out there that are like, this is 2026. Like I'm from Generation X. Men don't talk like that unless they're shitty.
Yeah.
You know, they just don't.
I think that's what it is. It's to me, it's like I read the naivete or just the like, and I'm just like, no, babes, this is not like, no, like this isn't what you know, and I get it. It's my like apple pie. Like I want to make everything right. But it's just reading that just like triggers me and makes me think of how are they.
It's not your apple pie though, dude. It's like, here's the aspect. You strip down or not. Maybe you don't take maybe some of them are in the world of superhero world, right? So he is technically he's 100 years old, right? Or he's 120 years old or however the fuck old he is.
And like, honestly, with that perspective, that makes it so much fucking worse because I have, like, my grandparents were like silent gen and you didn't fucking talk like that to a lady.
No.
That makes it, if you like,
absolutely not.
Trying to factor in his age and go, oh my God, he's from a different generation. That makes it so much worse, bro.
No, you're shitty.
So
you're
worse.
A shitty human. He's
You
not even like
suck.
exactly, Kasey. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because my grandfather never would talk to a woman like that.
No,
never.
No. My grandfather had a lot of flaws, and you know he might give a woman a backhand because he was a shitty person, not because that was his generation, because he was a shitty person. But he didn't fucking talk to women like that.
No.
And like, I'm not justifying my grandfather; he was a problem. Like, this is like, you know, I'm not being like, oh, he was so nice.
No, but that generation, it's not
was
indicative of the generation, is your point.
No.
And it's degrading women publicly, verbally, talking about women like they're nothing more than a, you know,
mate.
Warm vagina or whatever. Like, no, that's not indicative of the generation. That's indicative of a piece of shit, man. Like,
I think that's what makes him an interesting character too, because you're taking somebody that's gone through decades and decades and decades, and if whatever was inherently wrong with him to start just gets twisted and changes with each what's allowed here, what's not allowed here.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit kind of thing.
I'm
I think that's what
so
makes him
excited
interesting.
for Vought Rising. Like, I'm so
Mhm.
excited to see how
Yeah.
they show his
What
origins.
is he like back then? Like, how much of it
Yeah.
is like, you know, is he, because I don't believe they shouldn't try to make him out to be this, like, you know, like, I get it, he's damaged, he's got daddy issues, all those things. He could start with that, but like, show us how out of touch he is with like this narcissistic quality of like, the world needs to revolve around me. Like, how is that going to be explored from the very beginning? And is he like,
How much of it was celebrity?
Yeah. How much it
Yeah.
was given to him? How much is he like silver? Like, he's got the silver spoon, you know, like that kind of thing. But then how it gets worse over time too. Like, I'm interested in that part of it. I don't know what they're going to do with it. I hope they really like do something amazing, but I will temper my. But yeah, I think that's what it just comes down to.
No,
Like,
it's Script Key at the helm of Thought Rising.
I mean, I think that was one of the shows he wanted to actually start with. Like, I think that was one of the things he wanted to go with first when it came to the boys. But I think he had to go with something else first. And then once that took off, he was like, oh, I've got this now.
He's heading it up, though. It's going to be, he's the producer, director, whatever.
Yeah. So he's interesting.
At the head of it,
yeah.
It'll be good and it'll be authentic.
It's interesting, but it's like, he needs like a big sticker on him. Like, just be like, no, this is not what you need. Like,
be aware,
radiation
not
sticker.
this.
kind of a thing. I mean, yeah, no, I think that's all it is. It's just like reading some things. And again, I get it. Like, you know, some people just aren't there yet, but it's just this naivete and like, oh, I just hope, sweeties, you aren't thinking that that's what you deserve. Like, that's all. It's just like, I just don't want you to feel that you deserve that's okay, that's standard behavior. And again, I think you only get that out of time too. Like, you know, what you've gone through. Like, I wasn't that way. Like, I thought I had much different thoughts in my, you know, 20s, and, you know, like, you know, it took a really bad relationship, unfortunately, you know, to open up I can get suckered into this too. You know, my care and my willingness to believe that everybody will treat me the same way I would treat them was being taken advantage of. And I think that's like kind of like what I was getting out of your story too, was like, you know, like what is he taking from her? What is he trying to hoard? Like, you know, like, and just feed off in a way, you know, and like get off and all those things. But it's like, again, there's certain parts of it that are, he's got like, he's smarmy and he's like, yeah, he doesn't sugarcoat shit, but then he knows how to, like, she's like you said, she's battling and she's giving everything she's got, because she's like, I could take him on in this way. Like, this is what I can do. And like, no,
take him
really
down
can't.
a few pegs.
Like, you know, no.
Unfortunately, I've been that girl, you know, back when I was a girl, when you're like, no, I can totally take this on, and I can, he's not going to get the best of me, you know. And it's like, it's the same kind of pig-headedness of, I can fix him, but you're like, no. This is the battle that I have to win, and I will.
Yes.
And then suddenly you're up to your neck going,
I mean,
I don't know what happened, guys.
Yeah.
Technically, I sort of like took some of the, you know, I made him out of a couple of men in my girlfriend's lives. And then I made Brandy out of me and my sister, pretty much. And a little bit more me. And so, you know, I really wanted to take him down a notch. And I think it just got a little too personal. And I realized, you know, it's a flip side kind of what you were saying, Kasey. It's a flip side of like, I can fix him. Yeah. Right. So it's just a different kind of story where I was like, and I just got to the point where I was like, I can't take him down.
Yeah. And if she didn't have a lifeline, I mean, like, yeah, like that's the concern. Like, if she didn't have the people, or she didn't have the lifeline, if she didn't have her friend, like really being able to just sit down and like, you know, have that discussion. I mean, I remember it taking my best friend to be like, Sandra, what is going on with you? Like, this is not you. And it took that, you know, to get me out of it, because nobody else could tell me that I was, you know, God forbid.
Oh yeah, you can't be told when you're in there, can you? You know Nobody else gets it, but you get it.
You probably also, Sandra, if I may,
Mm-hmm.
as we talked about it, you had been isolated
Mm-hmm.
at that point.
Yeah.
And she didn't. I didn't let her get to that point, Brandy,
Yeah.
where she was totally isolated. She almost was, and I almost went there.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Maggie was in Ireland and
Mm-hmm.
she just didn't tell anybody. She just didn't tell anybody about it. And it was a secret, and it was her secret.
Mm-hmm.
She told her sister, and her sister was like, I trust you. I trust you. I know who you are. And her sister, to be honest, was probably a little afraid for her,
Mm-hmm.
but wasn't going to say, run, run. She
Yeah.
was going to say, I got your back. I trust you. I know you're self-possessed. I know you can do this. I know you can, get out when you want to, but like, if you're having fun, have fun.
Yeah. And that was the danger in all of it too. Yeah. It's just to have fun part of it. Yeah.
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 Because, anybody who's been in that situation knows it's not fun.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have fun with somebody who's got an agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who's, it's not going to be, it's not just fun sex or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's a calculated, everything he did,
Mm-hmm.
there was a point to it. There was
Yeah.
never he wasn't just having fun.
Mm-hmm.
And he even said as much.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't want what everybody else wants, because fuck those people and fuck your image and your, what we look like to other people.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to have that. Just knocking her off kilter left and right. And then, but also feeding her constantly these little nuggets and just dragging her down this emotional and physically,
Mm-hmm.
taking control of her body,
Yeah.
and just dragging her through, his obstacle course of mind fuckery,
Yeah.
So she couldn't, never had come across something like that before, because it was every little hit was calculated.
Because like everything I've ever read from you, and I if you've done Buffy Fix and Twilight, and I don't know, did you put reader inserts or original characters into those?
Yeah, I'd never written an original character until I wrote for Supernatural. I always used, because like everything I've ever written for has been an ensemble cast. So there's always so many people, there's so many characters to play with. And I loved all the characters especially in The Walking Dead. I loved all those characters. And so I played with all of those characters, and Buffy and Angel. And even when I was writing for Twilight, a lot of times I did crossovers with Buffy or Angel with Twilight. And so, I wrote one, the first fic that I ever wrote that was like, a big fic that was out there and popular was an Edward and Bella fic. And it was just hilarious and so much fun and so far from anything. Like it was anything, it could have been anybody. There was nothing. I mean, of course you put the little nuggets in there. That's why it's fanfic. So it's like you put like an outfit in there, or, somebody's staying, or, something like that. And so that was always fun. But like, I never wrote any kind of like original characters or self-insert characters until I came to Supernatural.
Do you feel like, because I mentioned in the doc, like the Mary Sue's, do you ever feel like you fell into that Mary Sue trap with any of your characters, or no?
I always tried really hard so like Beth Green from The Walking Dead, a lot of people really thought she was kind of a Mary Sue in the show. And I think she proved to not be. She's one of my favorite characters ever.
Beth Green is one of the badass women on television, and she was done dirty, and I will die on that fucking hill. And I stopped watching that show not long after that.
She was done so dirty. And I was big fan of hers, and I loved her relationship with Daryl, whether it was romantic or not. I loved her relationship with Daryl. And I wrote a handful of Beth and Daryl stories. And one in particular was a romance. And obviously there's a massive age gap. And I tried really hard to steer clear of any kind of Mary Suing because of the source material. She's already was considered a Mary Sue by a lot of people.
Okay.
And so writing Beth, really, I put a lot of myself into her when I wrote her, but myself when I was a kid, like when I was 17, 18, 19 years old, the things that I thought, the things that I did, and you're still 17, 18, 19 years old. So you're still a kid and you're still kind of wide eyed and things. But like, I wanted to, I always tried to make her as fully realized as possible. And I actually, when I wrote that story, I had so many young girls reading that story. So many, like 17, 18, 19-year-old girls who were like, thank you for, the comments were really like, thank you for writing, somebody who's a realistic 17-year-old without making her a baby,
Yeah.
And I'm like, but you're not, you're a kid, but you're not a baby.
Yeah.
When you're 17, you're a woman in your head, and in your heart, you think, you want things that women want, you want things that adults want, and you've got the drive and you're wanting that. I mean, you're not yet, you're still a kid, but like,
But
you
that
think,
knowledge,
you
that knowledge comes later, doesn't it? You gotta,
yes,
get some years under your belt, and then you look back and go, "Oh my god, I was a baby there." Oh, fuck.
yes.
But at
like,
the time,
at the time, you feel like a woman, and like you want things that women want because all the hormones and all the things, and like, what you want, and so I wanted to write her that way, and I, she made mistakes, and she was embarrassed by some things, and so there wasn't, I always tried really hard to not Mary Sue her because of that, because in the source material people thought she was, which is mind-boggling to me, because like I always remember that the episode where she gets into it with Lori for bringing a baby into the world, which is such a stark contrast to Maggie coming back and throwing the day after pills at her and saying, here's your abortion pills, like pissed at her. And then, fast forward like one episode later, and Beth's like, how dare you bring a child into this world, and
not
she tries
to get too far off track, right? But isn't it so interesting? I'd forgotten that Maggie did that. And isn't it so interesting that, like, however many millions of fucking seasons later, because that show went on too long, Maggie's like, oh, I'm gonna bring a baby into the apocalypse. This is fucking great.
Right.
Purposefully.
Right.
Fuck you.
Yeah. But it's just, because Maggie was like, here's your abortion pills. Like, she's condemning her, for trying to not be pregnant. And then her little sister, who's 16, is like, how dare you bring a baby into this world, And then, immediately tries to slit her wrists. Like, so it's just, she was not a Mary Sue in my opinion, but
No,
there were some people who thought she was. So I really tried to steer clear of that. And I think that's always kind of in my head when I'm writing original characters too, is that I want to make sure that they are flawed, they are silly, they're as fully realized as possible. Maybe not everybody likes them so much. People are nice to them because they have friends, but like not everyone's sitting around going, she lights up a room when she like, like that's not reality. No one's like that. Like,
just by the way, if my untimely death happens, nobody's allowed to say that. No fucker is allowed to say that. I don't care if you know me in real life or you know me online. Do not say, oh my god, they lit up a room when they walked in. No, I was a bastard.
So sad.
The whole time.
The world lost an angel today.
No, nobody fucking say that about me. Not one person be like, no, they were a dickhead, but they were our dickhead. That's what I want. That's my eulogy.
Yeah. I told, I saw a meme one day that I was like, sent it to Simon, because it was like, at my funeral, please don't stand up and say, she lit up a room, whatever. Just stand up and say, that ass though.
Yeah, that'll do as well. I will accept that as well. I will quite happily accept that.
Oh,
he's like, you can count on me.
Yeah.
It's like, I know I can. That's why I sent that to you.
Fully with you there, MJ. Fully with you. Yep.
Do you feel like you're writing? So, I mean, like, because you write a little bit about what you know, what you're going through. Do you, and maybe this has more to do with like the circle of other writers or creators that you're with, but like, is there a certain like character or fic that you've like maybe written that you feel is pretty like indicative of like, not necessarily like maybe where we're at right now, but maybe like 30s or 40s that really like got good reception for like an older, more mature character, not just somebody in their 20s, that you were like, yes, this is like, I like the reception that I'm getting. They get what I was trying to convey. Or do you?
Yeah, so bringing up Twilight again, I wrote a story with Rosalie, who also loved her. Probably my favorite Twilight character.
And
I
which
loved
one was
writing
she?
her. She was the one who was engaged to be married to this rich guy and then was gang raped.
Have you read Twilight, Sandra, or watched it?
I've read the first, I think, 2 books, and I think I watched bits and pieces of like the what was it, the last one that they broke up into 2?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think I've seen it like once or twice, and I've read the first. I think I read the first 2, and I really enjoyed those, but I didn't end up reading the rest of them. So okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I read the first 2 books. I saw the first 2 movies. I
Mhm.
read the 3rd book, but I did not read Breaking Dawn, and I didn't see the movies.
Okay.
I have read all of the books.
Okay.
Including the like little from Edward's POV thing.
Oh yeah, definitely
Which
read
you
Midnight
did.
Sun.
Yeah, that's the one I feel.
But I read the transcript. I don't know if it's been published, but I read the transcript when it was out floating around.
I don't know if it's been published actually. I read the transcript.
Yeah, it was just a PDF.
I think the 50 Shades of Grey one got published because it was grey.
Oh, that one did. Yeah.
Yeah. But I've read all of the Twilight books, and I've seen 3 out of the 5 movies.
Okay.
Because Taylor Lautner cut his hair, and I wasn't about that life anymore. I hashtag Team Jacob forever, and I loved him, and he had beautiful long hair, and then he cut it when he turned into a werewolf,
and that was it.
That was it. I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore. And annoyingly enough, the hair cutting came with the loss of shirt. So you'd think I would still be into
It would
that.
balance it, but it didn't. It didn't.
No,
it
it
did never
didn't.
come.
To be fair, I was much younger then, and I was far more about hair than I maybe am now. But also, it was really long, and he cut it like really short, like Jensen Dean short. So
okay,
a lot of feelings about that.
Gotcha.
I would you finish the Twilight books, because I think your opinion on them would be very different now than it probably was when you read them.
Okay, maybe. Because you know how great I am at reading and how quick I am.
Yeah, because you've got loads of time. You don't do anything fucking else. You just sit down and knock these books out in an afternoon for me, please, Sandra. Just don't feel like you're trying, bro.
I'll try. But Rosalie. So Rosalie.
Yeah, Rosalie. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't remember when I was writing it. I think I placed her like late 20s, early 30s or something in this story that I was writing. But for me, I don't know. I mean, I definitely gave her some of my experiences, but there was a lot of feedback from women reading it saying, yes. Like I remember that feeling, and I remember going through that. There was a lot of connection with her in one story in particular that I wrote. And I like finding, either creating original characters or finding, canon characters that people, that I can envision in certain scenarios that I either, friends have been through or I've been through, and then, making that into a story that people can connect with. And I love doing it with female characters.
Yeah.
And, I love doing it with, outside of the, whatever that landscape is, and I think that, Rosalie in particular was one of those female characters that was just very, she had seen some shit and she'd been through some shit, and she was just very, and she's someone you wanted on your side. Like, she was rough around the edges. Some people thought she was, a bitch or whatever, but she never, she didn't want, that whole, like, she literally, there's that whole speech that she gives to Bella about like, why would you want this? You're a beautiful human. That's when you find out that how she, when Carlisle changed her was because she was dying because she'd been gang raped and almost beat to death. And she was like, I didn't choose this. Why would you choose this?
Yeah.
And you have a choice. Don't choose it. I've never been hostile to you because I don't like you. I've been hostile to you because I don't want you to choose this.
See,
you're
it's
better
like
than this.
It goes back to the whole Soldier Boy thing. It's like, don't choose this.
Don't choose this. You have a whole life ahead of you, and I want better for you. And that is Rosalie's entire character encapsulated in that moment to me, because, they have her being like this mean girl throughout the first whole book. Of course, it's very unreliable narrator, high school girl.
Yeah.
But as you get into it and I like, from the moment I was reading that, I was like, there's something going on with her. Right. Like, no character is one-dimensionally just a fucking cunt, like there's a reason for this. And she tells you in plain words when they're going to get married, before he turns her, all these things. And she's like, don't choose this. You have your whole life ahead of you. You don't even know what's possible. You're throwing it away for a fairy tale. What you think is going to be, you're a child. You don't know what love is yet. It's just and of course, there was varying opinions on what people thought. It was condescending, blah, blah, blah. But the whole point is that she was like, don't do this. Like,
spoiler alert, Bella Swan did not listen.
And I'm just sitting there like, fuck yes, somebody's speaking the truth. Like, somebody's being real with her. And, she's not a bitch for it. She's doing it because she loves humanity. And she loves that this girl who doesn't know shit about life is throwing her life away, like, because she thinks it's so romantic to be a vampire or whatever. She's like, it's not fucking romantic, bitch. Like, don't do this.
It sucks. I'm starving. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Hashtag justice for Rosalie. MJ go feels, y'all.
Oh man, I legit, like, I got so much shit for so many years in that fandom. I mean, as a joke, like, everyone just teased me, but like, I used to like, I always had her like like they had baseball cards. And I would be like, I had one that was Edward and one that was Rosalie, and I'd be like making them kiss, like at San Diego Comic-Con, and my friends were like throwing shit at me, and I'm like, Rosalie, literally, Kasey, I'm pretty sure I've said more than once justice for Rosalie. I'm like,
yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. Unfortunately, it does seem like we can no longer be friends, because you very much seem to be Team Edward, and unfortunately, I don't vibe with that. It's all about the werewolves. Yeah,
I'm not Team anything. I'm Team Rose. Like, again,
Team Rosalie.
I am Team Rosalie. We had a very, we used to do these Zoom things, and then we would put them, on Twitter or whatever, and it was a bunch of us girls, and Kasaya, who was just like she's the one who put us up. She's like, okay, everyone sound off. Team Edward, or like, whatever. What team are you? And everyone would sign, and then it would come to me, and I'd be like, Team Rosalie, and they're like, oh no, you got, I'm like, I am not Team Dude. I'm Team Rosalie or Team Leah. Like, justice for Leah, Clearwater too.
I love that.
Like,
I am not Team Dude.
I actually,
that's fandom.
That's very feminist of you. I'm so proud.
No, I mean, fuck those guys. Legit. Like, come on. It's not about them.
Fuck that one guy. I am inherently a thirsty bitch. And he spent a good proportion with no shit on it. I know who I am.
Yeah.
In terms of like writing, like for me, like you've kind of, like you set the bar with Soldier Boy in this, and like in terms of, I feel like what you wanted to explore. And I mean, I know you've done it before. There's a lot of other fics that I've read of yours that are that really like go there. Or do you have other stuff in mind? Any other like stories you're like thinking about that are on your like to-do list? Are you waiting for Vought Rising? Are you interested in seeing what they do with Soldier Boy to see if you can come up with another? Because I really love that when like before Soldier Boy even came out, you just did this one shot of this like fan just getting to like have sex with him, and he was doing whatever he does in the comics where he's like she had to list all the states in alphabetical order.
Yeah, he was edging her.
And that was just a very like fun, good, like, you know, that was like
so
very
much fun.
surface, you know, but very, very. So do you have other thoughts about him or other characters or like things that you've been like working on recently?
I don't have anything that I've been working on recently, but I've been thinking a little bit about, I have a couple of other ideas, and I do have a few outlines for the sanctioned series that I had put together that's with one or both of the Winchester brothers. You know, they're just like kinks and stuff. So I've got some of those on the back burner. I haven't written anything new since like May or something of last year.
You were doing like a Shaw thing, weren't you? Were you doing something with the Shaw brothers too?
Yeah. And I still have, and I would like to finish. It's really Renee focused. It's really focused on her. And, but I started it from Russell's perspective, and I'm not sure I'm going to continue with that. So, but it's really about Renee. And I was just trying to balance that. And I thought about doing like kind of the old school, like from 3 different perspectives, but I don't know that I can write Coulter. Like I've been trying to do that. I can do the brothers banter because I think they're so funny. Yeah. But like, I don't know how to write from his perspective. So I don't know where I'm going to go with that. But I do want to do this, you know, midlife thing. And and I really
are you going to use Dean, or are you thinking of somebody else?
I'm not sure, but it would be fun to use Dean. Because I think I did go the last couple of years, especially with that sanction thing. I kind of feel like I broke into a different aspect of Dean than I have in the past. Not to say that he's not capable of these things, because obviously I wrote it and I believe that he is capable of it, but it's not something I'd written before or something that I had ever imagined him to be as somebody who would be that thoroughly engaged and eager to learn. Right. I think that those are inherent aspects of Dean Winchester, that he is eager to learn. We just don't see it very often because of the world that they live in. Yeah. And so I do like the idea of that exploring, you know, and not to get too personal about things, but, you know, Mike and I have been trying some different things to try to explore different types of intimacy, you know, because we're both missing that. Yeah. And so I would like to showcase that a little bit and make it something that's, you know, and applying it to his character. Yeah. Because I kind of like I like growing that a little bit, like not having the same thing over and over again. He's just a sex machine or whatever, you know? Yeah. Like how can we, you know, but you know, we've talked about this before about how you can, I mean, some people call it just, you know, dressing up, you know, playing with Barbies or something, but like it makes it safe when you know that you love these characters, you know, whether it's Dean or it's Sam, you know, you love and you trust them. Yeah. So people are willing to read a lot of things and write a lot of things because you already trust those characters and you feel safe with them. So exploring new things is always really interesting and fun, I think, you know, like, you know, and you can try a lot of different things. I think, you know, in the last couple of years, I was able to, you know, try a few different things that I had not thought about before, you know, that weren't just like, I really love that comfort, you know, the good old fashioned comfort, good solid fuck with Dean Winchester, right? Yeah. But like, you know, and it's very comforting and he's so warm and all of these things. But like, what if we like dug in a little bit more and made there a slight challenge, not just with a relationship, but like something that is physically challenging, you know, if there's something that's changing things. And it was interesting. I had beta read for somebody who was writing about him, and it was canon compliant. They had been hunters, and he was in a wheelchair. So the mechanics of that, because he was paralyzed. So that was an interesting journey. So I think some of those are, some of those ideas with it are the exact same characters. This is not like an AU.
Yeah.
They're not a different character. It's like something has happened, and now something physiologically is completely different. And those are, so there's not just he can't hunt anymore,
Right.
like
Yeah.
he's in a relationship with somebody and he can't do that thing that he's always done.
Yeah.
And that he relies on,
Yeah.
and so that was really interesting. And I think that might be an interesting thing to do. But I also I've got a couple of other ideas, and I'm sure I'll let you know.
Yeah. No, I always, like I said, I don't know. I love all of your stuff. I love your characters. I love the OCs that you create and all of the things. And yeah, I'll say it again. You're one of the reasons why I think I fell in love with Dean Winchester too. It's like some of your writing just like brought out stuff in him that I just, you don't see, you see it, but it's like you love and care for him, I think, enough to like bring it out and bring it to the surface and stuff. So I love that. I love that about your writing too. So
I love doing it because it's just, when you love something that much, you want to be there as long as you can and in as many different ways.
Yeah.
So it's, that's why I like this idea of trying to explore what it would be like to, have your
go through menopause with Dean Winchester.
I'm telling you guys, collab on this shit. I want to read it like next week. Yeah. You must do this
next week. You have a deadline.
No, you don't have a deadline, but my birthday is in March. That's all I'm saying. I just no pressure, but also in a very real way. My birthday is in March. Guys. I just think that you guys would do such an amazing fucking job of exploring that. And you love him. The pair of you love him so deeply and truly.
Well, I trust Dean. I trust MJ with Dean. I think that's a big part of it too. Like,
this is just you not wanting to tie yourself into something else, isn't it? I see you. I see you.
But I'm saying, like, as somebody, as a writer, I trust Dean in her hands. Like there's certain people that you read and even if they even if they try something different with them, there's trust there. Just like how, like, when you and your Demon Dean, like, I trust you to make it better at some point, Kasey. It will get better at some point. Like, give them that, again, like, it doesn't even have to be a happily ever after, just to be a happy for now. It has to be they've come to that conclusion. They've come to
be
that
fair,
point.
though.
Not everything can do that, and I know that, but
no,
I know you're going to
right.
do that.
You're right not to trust me with him the same way that you trust MJ with him. I am not to be trusted.
You've gotten better. You've gotten better with Dean. Like, I trust you fully with Sam, but you've gotten better with Dean, which I think is important. Like, honestly, I don't trust me with Sam.
Isn't that like the best compliment you can get from a truly good friend? You can hold this, but I'm gonna ask you to sit down while you hold it. The other one, you can hold and fucking do what you want with, but just sit down before you hold this one, but you can still hold it. Like, that's I feel like the older sibling who just got a new baby sibling, but no one quite trusts them not to yeet it across the room yet. So it's like, of course you can hold the baby. Sit down, put this pillow on your lap. We're gonna put an adult on either side of you, but yes, you hold the baby, darling. That's what I think.
Yeah. Oh goodness.
I'm trusted. I'm a problem.
Well, MJ, this has been lovely. Thank you for spending time with us. So, like, during your birthday weekend celebration, I appreciate you chatting with us about this fic and helping me process my, like, no, don't do that. Stop. It's not a good idea. Don't write the things. We're gonna do our outro on the back end. So yes, I appreciate you, and I hope you have a good rest of the day and
have a lovely rest of your
day as well.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I always have so much fun with you.
Good.
Yes,
well, hopefully we can do it again soon.
Yeah. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye. I love talking to her.
I love talking.
I can't help it. I love talking to her. She's the bestest. Yes, I mean, did I sound? I wasn't trying to sound condescending to the younger generation in my worry.
No.
Yeah.
No. Not at all.
Seeing the kind of stuff that you write that gets like to the very like heart of like experiences and trying to process things, and the way that MJ writes to me is very similar. I feel like they can be cautionary tales in a way that some people maybe just, if they don't have that experience, they just don't know, and they're, again, I get it, fantasy, romance, like we all like sanitize our romance. I do that. I'm a romance writer. Like I get these things, but like I don't know. I just feel like there's some tropes or types that I think really need like caution. Do not cross. Like just,
Do you think that is because when we were figuring out this space, nobody was there to guide us?
Do you mean this space? What in particular?
Well, like maybe like a fandom space, but also like the space of becoming an adult, maybe more that than the fandom space, because like obviously me and Sandra are like a couple of decades apart in age.
Yeah. Thank you.
But, I did not specify which way Sandra is a child.
Well, yeah. No, we've stated I'm Gen X, you're millennial. Yeah.
We're millennial.
Yeah.
We're a generation apart. I got to tell you something about generations when we're done.
Okay.
But like I certainly wasn't given any real kind of guidance. I was given fear and guilt. And I wasn't given any kind of guidance, and that definitely led me into a lot of bad situations. And I'm familiar enough with you to know that you're...
Well, my experience is different of like, fearful. So then I didn't do the things, right? Yeah. So then when I finally did get into relationships and stuff, like that was my like, unfortunately, my first real relationship was that horrible relationship, and it kind of like, it set me up for a constant, well, is there anything real or better, or will I just fall into the same, will I just accept that? No, there's nothing, I'm just on my own. I'll do the things. I think it's that. I think it's interesting how like, especially when MJ was talking about like, having older fans to guide her, right? Like in her, like I already got into this fandom on the older scale. Like, so I already didn't really understand a lot of the intricacies of fandom, and then this fandom in general. Like I kind of learned piecemeal, right? I kind of learned along with you. I would ask Kasey, like, Kasey, what does this mean? I don't know what this means. Kasey's like, I'll Google it. Because Kasey didn't know everything either about this fandom. Like we learned,
what are you
I think,
talking about?
together.
I'm an expert in everything. I never.
But you learned too. Like you did,
we
like,
learned together.
We really did sort of like learn together. And I mean, they're like, I'll listen to some of like our older stuff, and I'm like, I didn't know this was a thing. Like I just didn't know that there are all these different parts of fandom, and there's still so much more of fandom that I don't understand. But to have had somebody generations that were like, here, if you're not sure, come to me. I don't know if fandom's been like that for a while. Like, you know what I mean? Like we talk to old guard, but we search them out. And we learn. There's no like, here's a guide to the supernatural fandom. Like, there's nothing that's like, here, if you need to ask questions, feel free to contact this and this, like, like that kind of thing. Like, we have the super wiki, which helps with a lot of information, but it's not a fandom resource or navigation or fanfic, stuff. Like, I think so I don't know. I don't know if that part's kind of been, I feel like it's been lost. And then we talked a little bit about the reasons why. And that makes me, I just kind of feel sad and I know they're not sad about it, right? But it's just like, I feel that there's things younger generations will never understand or get the chance to experience that makes me nostalgic for them, that they won't have that.
Yeah.
And I guess a little bit on the like protective aunt side of like, don't, just try, I know you're going to want to do the things, but just maybe have a little bit of information, in your back pocket to kind of like steel yourself or give yourself that little bit of armor that you need. Because fan fiction is a lovely way to explore things, and it's a safe place to explore. but you don't want it to, like you always say, there's a reason why it's fact versus fiction, and how is that? So that's why I felt like this was almost like a little adjacent to some of your usual like conversations or themes that you tackle in fact versus fiction, because this is very much like, here's a fact, here's fiction. I don't see how they go together well, like if you're going to try the romanticizing part of it, which again, I don't think MJ ever does.
No, she doesn't, and that is truly one of the, like, I love MJ's work. We don't like MJ's OFC Reader Insert, so I'm not necessarily in the same space as her as much as I used to be, but I continue to be such a huge fan of her work because she doesn't bullshit it. She doesn't give you a fairy tale, she gives you realism, which I think is something that we all very much need. But like, this is one of those difficult things because it's not anything you can cut and dry. Like a lot of fact versus fiction, we can be like, this is the way to do this safely, and this is the way to not do this safely. This is like, I'm trying not to get yourself into the situation, but if you do, like, here are the best methods to try and get yourself out of the situation.
One of the things we just like a little interjection. One of the things I did talk about to MJ was like, I felt like it needed a couple tags, and she did like an author's note on the fic, because I felt like, I feel like this is important to maybe just put out there. And she did that, like tagging something like emotional abuse, because I mean, like I was like, I feel this, like, you know what I mean, and not that everybody's going to feel that, but you might want to tag it that just in case, that kind of thing.
I could 100% feel that you were really deeply affected by this story, and I was like, I wasn't as deeply affected by it. I certainly went into it with a not insignificant feeling of dread, going, oh, everything seems lovely, nervous laughter. I kind of like knew, like I was pre-warned for the ending, but I don't know. I very much subscribe to the fuck around and find out method of parenting, which is not, I don't think it's the approved method. But
no, but I think it's important. They have to have experiences. That's and that's not what I'm not saying not have the experience. I just feel like if we knew, like if we could have gone back to our future self, like our younger selves, and be like, just maybe keep this in mind when you meet this person, because maybe you won't have to be so horrifically damaged for such a long period of time that it takes you forever to get out of it, like those kinds of things, and I feel like there's some people that they don't deserve to be treated. Nobody deserves to be treated that way. Nobody deserves to be treated and I feel like you need to know that there's other things that are outside of the realm of, like MJ was saying, men, you shouldn't get away with doing certain things, when they've got the knowledge and the experience, and it's just him being, that's just the way that he is. That's just the way that, the way that he is gross. Yeah. And tell him. Yeah. That is truly, like, that's honestly one of the things that I love about this fic. And I know MJ was saying, she wrapped it up quicker than maybe it should have, because it was becoming a problem for her. But I do think if we're looking at it as a cautionary tale for the children of the internet, I think the message that it sends is, you need your tribe. You need your people, because you are, as much as a parent, as a friend. I just kind of, not a sibling or an aunt or anything like that, or an uncle or anything like that, but like as a parent and as a friend, you never want the people that you love to go through anything, but they're gonna, because that's just life. And I think, like, one of the best messages that we can teach, and it's the sort of the messages that I try and teach my kids, is try not to fuck up, and here are the ways to behave appropriately to give yourself the least chance of fucking up. But you will. And I'm here. You need people. No man is an island. Come to me, and it doesn't matter what you've done, we can sort it. It doesn't matter how hard you think you fucked up. We can sort it. And that's that. And I really think that's what this fic encapsulates, is that she knows
she figures it out in time that she's in too deep, and she gets her people and goes, please help me. I don't know how this has happened, but I'm fucking stuck.
I mean, I think in terms of the writing and like taking this story in particular, like if you come at it as somebody who's, and I talk about it this way, like, like years and years might pass. Like you watch a movie, right? Then you watch it again, you get something different out of it because of the experience. We talk about this with Supernatural too. So I think having that, you read this story, you might approach the story on the surface, which is, it has some extremely like sexy, like there's a lot of like, there's exploration. It's hot as fuck. But then, if you, let's say you just take it at that, right? And, it's kind of like watching The Boys. Some people take it at surface level, or watching Supernatural, you take it at surface level. You don't really dig in. I don't know how you couldn't with this fic, but let's say somebody does. And then they have that experience and they come back and they're like, oh, I see this. I could see all of the flashing warning signs that this person isn't seeing or is choosing not to because they think, again, smarter, I can take this person on, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's like, for me, that's what this fic was kind of like. It's like, if I'd read this, I don't know, when I was in my 20s, maybe I would have I wouldn't have like, I don't think you can't with MJ stuff. I guess that's my whole point. You can't not get deep with MJ stuff. Yeah. Like I feel like it's there. And it's like, I know a lot of writers write what they know. So if they've never had that experience, they could take a character, AU him or whatever, and position him a certain way. I don't necessarily think it's always true, to character, but that's everybody's, you could do it the way you want to. It's your dolls, play with them however you want. And I like that there's all of these different writers that do things in other ways. And MJ just is like, nope, I'm going there. And like, I'm just still fascinated that she wrote like 11,000 words in Ben's perspective. What would like, that's just like, that
would like Loki. I really do want to read that, but
yeah, I don't.
I respect that she wrote that to get it out of her own head, and she does not. That is not, but that's what she wants to share.
But yeah, like, again, like you're the hero of your own story. Like I'm sure in that version, he's the hero, of the story. Yeah. And it's fascinating stuff. But yeah, just everybody just, be careful. Be careful with yourselves.
Be careful and be mindful.
You're gonna fuck around and find out. Just maybe have some padding.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's the thing. The people like that. People like Ben are fucking insidious, and they will creep into your life, and they're very good at what they do.
Yeah,
and you won't necessarily realize what's happening
until it's too late. For some people, you don't want to get in that point. Where you can't get out.
You're up to your chest, going, "Oh fuck."
Yeah.
And the thing, if you take nothing else from the fic, is people. Find your tribe, be with your people. People will help you. Like, the hardest thing that you will ever do in your life is the first time you reach out to somebody and go, I have fucked up and I need help. Done it. So much easier. As always, a fucking delight to talk to MJ.
Yeah, it was great talking to MJ. I hope we can have her back to talk about another topic. Yeah. 100%. But we should wrap up because we have been chatting for a while. But we want to thank you guys for listening. We want to know what you thought of the episode. You can email us at idlingintheimpala@gmail.com. You can comment on Spotify, leave a YouTube comment, join our Discord, and chat with fellow idlers and us in real time. Check out our merch store, which is another fun way to show your support. You can find details for everything on our website. That's idlingintheimpala.com. Want to fuel our supernatural road trip? Consider supporting us on Ko-fi. We have perks to go along with different membership tiers, and would love to have you along for the ride.
Speaking of perks, we've got special shout-outs for some of our Ko-fi members. From our Shotgun Picks the Music tier, we've got Runaway Dreamer, Crowley's Mistress, Samandine76, Elia, Charlie, and Just Whispering Fantasies. Thank you for picking the tunes in the car. Support like yours keeps our podcast going. Thank you! Don't forget, you can always support us for free by liking, commenting, subscribing on YouTube, and following, rating, sharing on audio platforms. Engagement like that really helps us with the algorithm. All hail their benevolence. As always, we have the causes we support in the description. So from me, you have LGBTQ plus talking charities. From Sandra, you have mental health charities. And of course, the main causes that we are highlighting, championing, spotlighting are World Central Kitchen and Doctors Without Borders. If you want to know more about these causes, why we're supporting them, what they mean to us, check out idlingintheimpala.com. There's a page there called Causes Cause with all the details. So with that, we will say a huge thank you to MJ for joining us. As always, it was a delight. Thank you for joining us in the back seat, and we will see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.